everybody, and welcome to Spot on the Money. I'm your host, Paul Gebhardt, with my good buddy here, Hashemian of Kinetic Financial. Good to see you again.
Great to be here.
Man, I tell you what, first of all, I just love your energy. I just got to tell you that right out of the gate. And, you know, we've gotten to know each other a little bit through these segments. And the passion you have for people, I mean, it comes through. And
you know, I'm a bit of a financial geek or financial nerd. I like this stuff,
What?
you know?
No.
A lot of people avoid it, but I like it.
Isn't that cool? And that's the important thing, right? I mean, I think it means a lot to people when they think about, folks ask me, say, Paul, what do you look for when you're picking an advisor? And I tell them, like, find somebody who loves what they do.
Yeah.
Find somebody who's passionate about what they do. That means they're going to do a job.
Yeah, it means that if you're passionate about it, not only are you going to get educated on all of the different strategies, but you're going to help your clients execute on everything. And so, I like this stuff.
Yeah, I like that. I love it. Financial geek. It's good stuff. Ali Hashemian, your financial geek. So listen, today let's talk a little bit about estate planning, can we?
Yeah.
Estate planning. So a lot of folks out there are wondering, I have a will. Is that all I need?
It might be. In fact, for some of the people I meet with, they don't even need the will.
Really?
I think there's a lot of confusion surrounding this topic, and that makes people avoid it, right? Because they think it's complex or confusing, they just don't do it at all. But sometimes it's a lot simpler than you may think. And when it is more complex or complicated, it's because it's needed. So for the higher net worth people, we deal with a lot of high net worth or ultra high net worth clients. They are going to need a more complicated estate plan than just a will. But it's valuable to them. Okay. It's going to save their estate thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of dollars if they do this right. And so for some of the people, they don't really need too much in their estate plan. For some people, they need a lot in their estate plan. But either end of the spectrum, you got to take a look at this and dig in.
Yeah. So what is one of the most important aspects of estate planning? What's one of the things that it helps people really avoid?
Yeah.
I mean, what's it protect?
One of the big things is probate, right? It's just the fact that your estate doesn't have to go through probate when you pass away. That's one of the big things that estate planning can help, but it's not the only thing. So a lot of people don't realize this, but estate planning is not just about when you die, but also about when you're alive, but you might be incapacitated, for example. So advanced healthcare directives or power of attorney, these are things that can help you make financial decisions when you're incapacitated without involving courts. And so I tell people this all the time. Estate planning is not just about what happens when you pass away. It's also what happens when you're alive, but in a bad situation.
So what do you say to somebody out there, Ali, that says, you mean my will doesn't hold water when I just, write it out and tell people this is what my plans are, this is who I want to leave things to?
Yeah.
That's not enough?
No, it's not, actually. A will is a great tool for you to give instructions, but it doesn't mean that those instructions will be executed. And a will doesn't avoid probate for you. So I tell people this all the time. You may not need a trust, but for most people, they will need a trust above and beyond their will. And so if you're looking at estate planning in general, you should be looking at all the different aspects. Wills, trust, advanced healthcare directives, power of attorney. These are four of the main things. And so for all our viewers out there, you may want to write it down. If you don't have a trust, a will, an advanced healthcare directive, and a power of attorney, you may want to look at your estate plan. And if you do have those things, but you're not sure they're up to date, give us a call. We'll do an estate analysis for you and show you what you might be missing.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I was wondering, speaking of the long-term care side, now, a lot of folks think that the only way you can handle the long-term care side of an estate plan is through a policy. But that's not really true, is it?
No, not at all. In fact, there are a lot of different long-term care insurances, but there's also alternatives to long-term care these days. We see life insurance policies that have a long-term care benefit or a long-term care rider involved, and that's a great way to cover long-term care. And we see some people that self-insure because they have enough money that they don't need to buy a long-term care insurance policy. So there's a lot of different ways to plan for long-term care. Again, this is one of those things that people avoid just because they think it's going to be scary or expensive.
Yes.
But don't avoid it. Just tackle it and look at all your different options. You'd be surprised at what the industry has evolved to offer different options to our people.
So basically, there's a lot of options out there. The key is life changes, it evolves, but have it reviewed and definitely have it updated.
And, it's not just your life that's changing. It's also the industry. The financial industry has continued to evolve to adapt for this rising need for long-term care and estate planning and taxes and everything else that you can think of. So if you're doing the same old thing, you might be missing what's out there now today.
That's a good point. And we all know that we're living longer and longer, right? Because the advancements in technology, right? That's happening.
It's one of the problems that we see today. You know, back in the day, people used to complain about dying too early in a car accident or a plane accident. Now we're complaining about living too long, right? We're never happy, I guess.
Well, that's a good point. But it's so very true. I mean, and I think that's one of the things that folks realize that, you know, when they talk about their financial plan, I think on their mind, the top two things are, will I outlive my money? Right? That's a big part. And the second one, you know, I'm afraid of a major healthcare disaster that will cost me my entire nest egg because of the cost of healthcare, because of the cost of long-term care.
And by the way, it's not just everyday folks. I deal with millionaires that have those same concerns. So for our viewers out there, if you think you're alone about worrying about running out of money or worrying about long-term care expenses, you're not alone. In fact, there are people that have 10 times, 20 times the wealth that you do, and they're worrying about those same things.
Good stuff. All right, I want to switch gears a little bit and talk to you about the past pandemic that we've been through, you know, and how that relates and where it puts people. There's a lot of fear around that, of course. Folks have been out of work. Some folks may have been forced to transition. When we talk about like the transitioning phase for folks, because sometimes traditional retirement isn't the necessary phrase. The actual appropriate phrase a lot of times is career transitioning or changing, right? And we're seeing that more and more and more. I think the average person now, I don't think they say will have 7 or 8 different career paths.
That's right.
So how important is that in retirement planning, right?
It's really important. And again, like you said, Paul, the pandemic has shifted people's mindsets, not just in terms of career and earning income, because that definitely has changed, but also about how you invest your money, how you plan for taxes, and estate planning. This has become a more prevalent topic just since the pandemic, because people are realizing that life is short, and so they need to think about what happens next, right? So it's a different world that we're living in, both from an investment, tax standpoint, but also from an estate planning standpoint. And I tell people, look, if you haven't reevaluated your portfolio or your financial situation since the pandemic, you're definitely missing something.
No doubt. And it seems to me more and more what you're really getting at is it's becoming your responsibility to take control of these things, right? Not the governments, not your employers, but you.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of people complain about government control. Yeah. And then they also complain that they're not getting any government assistance, right? But I would take advantage of it. The fact that you can really take reins on your financial plan, it's a bit of a power, you know, and so you should take advantage of that and enjoy the fact that you have control over that situation.
Great. So when it comes to people's estate planning, I understand you have a wonderful offer for the folks today. Would you share that with the viewer?
When it comes to estate planning, we offer our 62-point checklist, our spot check analysis. Again, for all our viewers out there, call 800-711-4818 or log on to our website, www.kineticfinancial.com. Not only can you sign up for our spot check analysis, but you'll find some great articles about estate planning and other topics that you might be interested in. But if you call us, we'll perform this spot check analysis. What we normally charge anywhere between $1,000 and $10,000, we'll do absolutely complimentary as long as you call us here today.
Fantastic. 62 different points.
That's right. And some of those points are related to estate planning, but some of them are related to tax planning, investments, retirement. So we're going to cover everything in your financial life.
Fantastic. I wonder if you knew there were 62 different points, right? I guess that's what it comes down to. It's what we don't know. So reach out to Ani and his team and let them help you. Again, the number's 800-711-4818. We got to take a quick break, but we'll be right back after these messages. Stick with us.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Welcome back to Spot on the Money. I'm your host, Paul Gebhardt. I want to thank you for being with us today. And it's an incredible honor to, again, reintroduce my friend here, Ali Hashemian of Kinetic Financial. Buddy, I got to tell you what, you're like the fountain of youth when it comes to knowledge, my man. The stuff you know, it's just like it's mind-boggling. I wanted to ask you, though, because there's a personal side to all of this, right? That's what it's about. We can talk about terminologies. We can talk about things. And if you're like me, sometimes that does get to be overwhelming. But in the reality, it's about real life and the people it touches. And you were sharing some stories with me about estate planning. Would you mind sharing a few of those with the folks?
Why don't I share a kind of sad story, and then I'll share a kind of funny story.
That's cool, man. I'm good with crying. I'm totally comfortable with my femininity.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the sad story. I think I've mentioned on a previous episode. We had a person that came to us, unfortunately too late. He had just inherited $2 million from his deceased father. Wow. And then about a couple of weeks later, he went through a divorce. Half of that money was gone, just like that. And all of that could have been avoided. If they had the proper trust, sub-trusts, didn't commingle assets, this could have been avoided. Unfortunately, it wasn't. It was too late. And the ex-spouse took half the money. And I guarantee you, that was not the deceased father's intention when he left that $2 million to his son. And so I tell people this all the time. There's so many things that you can do to protect yourself against situations like that. Divorce, creditors, bankruptcies, as long as you set up the right estate plan.
Yeah. You know, it's funny that you mentioned this. I think it's powerful to understand, to be proactive. Right? If you think there's a question or there's an uncertainty, that's the time to reach out.
That's right.
You got to make the move. You got to reach out for some help. Right?
You know, the worst thing you can do is just nothing,
yeah.
right? A plan is really what you should be doing.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you the funny story now. We had a husband and wife that came to us looking for estate planning. That's all they needed. By the way, for our viewers out there, if you're looking for investment management, tax efficiencies, we can help you with everything. But if you're just looking for one thing, like an estate plan, give us a call. We'll help you with whatever you need. But this husband and wife, they came to us looking just for estate planning strategies. Very wealthy couple. The husband was a lot older than the wife. And they wanted to achieve two goals in their estate plan. Number one, they wanted to make sure if anything happened to the older husband, that their church would receive $10 million. This was a very Christian, very philanthropic couple.
Love that.
And so they wanted to make sure that their church was taken care of. The second goal, though, was that the wife wanted to make sure that she received $10 million. She said to me, you know, I've lived with this old grumpy man for so long. But I deserve $10 million.
That's awesome.
So we put together an estate plan that achieved both of their goals as efficiently as possible. We used different trusts, different corporations, lots of different things to make sure that we were able to achieve both of their goals. I had mentioned that this husband and wife were a very religious couple. They decided to visit Jerusalem for their 40th anniversary.
Oh, that's cool.
For better or worse, the husband passed away on the trip.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah, it was unfortunate.
But, you know, that's actually maybe a little bit of a silver lining.
A little bit of a silver lining. And, you know, at that
40th anniversary.
In the Holy Land.
Yes, with the person you spent your life with.
That's right. Here's what happened,
Talk
though,
about
next.
a good sunset. That might be a pretty good sunset.
Next, though, some people came to the wife and said, listen, you can ship his body back to the U.S. and do the ceremony there, or we can do a burial ceremony right here in the Holy Land, and it'll be much cheaper. She said, ship his body back to the United States. And they said, but why? It'd be a beautiful ceremony right here in Jerusalem. She said, yeah, but a long time ago, a man was buried here. 3 days later, he rose from the dead. I can't take that chance.
Oh, that's funny. This lady had a good sense of humor. I like her already. All right, this is one of my favorite segments. Let's get to this one, Spotlight segment. The Spotlight segment, talking about estate planning. Okay, so Ali, share with us, what are your favorite things about estate planning, and what are some of your least favorite things?
My favorite thing?
Yeah.
There's a lot of different strategies, and you can really take control. Whether you are doing it yourself, or you're using one of these online kits, or you're a DIY, do-it-yourself type of person, there's a lot of different options available in estate estate planning. So that's the thing that I like the most about it, is that you have different paths or different routes that you can take. The thing I like about estate planning the least is people just don't do it. They take that ostrich head in the sand type of approach, and they just don't deal with it until it's too late. And so that's my least favorite thing, is that people just don't tackle this subject.
Yeah, so let's talk about that for a minute. Let's highlight that. Why do you think that is? Why do people procrastinate something that's so key to their legacy? I mean, this is a huge thing, right?
I think there's a couple of different reasons. Number one, most people don't want to think about death or incapacitation, and so they just avoid it just because they don't want to think about it, right? But number two, I see this all the time. People that come and say, listen, my kids are lucky to get anything. My parents didn't leave me anything. Whatever my kids get, they're lucky for that. But what they don't realize is by not doing estate planning, they're disinheriting their kids to Uncle Sam.
Oh.
And I don't know how much you like your kids or don't like your kids, but my guess is that you probably like your kids more than you like Uncle Sam, right? And so unless you want him to be part of your estate plan, you really need to put together some ideas and some strategies.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think on a positive spin of that, think about this for a second. Let this sink in. You know, what do you want your legacy to be? That really is still your choice. The lady who left money to the church, that's a great option. And maybe you're philanthropical. Maybe there's something else you want to do. But do something, because you can change other people's lives.
That's right.
And that is your legacy.
Yeah, and you know, one thing I see is people that say, you know, the last check I write, I want it to bounce, right? And I get that concept.
Yeah.
But I also deal with a lot of high net worth people that are never going to spend all their money. That's just the situation they're in. They either have too much money or they're not spending enough, but one way or another, they're not going to run through all of their assets, so something is going to get left behind. And you want to make sure that whatever gets left behind is doing what you want it to do, because you worked hard for this money, and now you want it to work hard for you, right?
Yeah, that's a really good point. And, you know, one of the things I wanted to share is, and I had a client that was in a similar situation, and what I loved was the living legacy ideas, the things that she came up with. And what she said to me, she's like, you know, Paul, what I want to do is I don't want to just leave the money behind when I'm gone. I want to be there with them and enjoy the moments with them each and every step of the way. She literally moved 3 times to different colleges, right, different parts of the country, to be there at the college when her grandkids were going to school.
And that's part of estate planning.
Yeah.
Is enjoying giving while you're alive. It's not just about what happens when you pass away. Part of estate planning are the gift tax rules and how you can enjoy giving money to your loved ones while you're alive and see their expression on their face, right?
Yeah, and what a beautiful thing, right?
Yeah.
What a wonderful way to share it. Listen, I know we got a few spots, actually 5 spots remaining. Would you repeat for the viewer today what you're offering them if they come meet with you?
Again, for all of our viewers, either call our 800 number, 800-711-4818, or log on to our website, www.kineticfinancial.com, and we'll provide you a couple of things absolutely complimentary. Number one is a copy of my book, Overtax, which will go over all the tax-free or tax-advantaged strategies that are available to you here in the United States. Number two is our company packet, which will not only include a couple of different articles that have been published about our company, but also our corporate capabilities brochure. But the most valuable, Paul, is our spot check analysis.
That's impressive.
Because this spot check analysis, we're not only going to cover estate planning with you, we're going to cover taxes, we're going to cover investments, we're going to cover basically everything you can think of when it comes to your financial life, so that you can go away from our consultation confident that you've put everything together.
And I love the idea, the concept of spot check and so many different parts of that. I love that. And think about that. As you take a journey, all the spots along the way that you plot out, right? And just to make sure that you're on the proper path. So I think that's a wonderful, wonderful tool. So please call in and get your copy of that. We're going to take a short break. When we get back, we're going to try to stump the advisor, okay? So stick around. We'll be back here in a few minutes.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan. This is a $999 value that we're giving away complimentary to the first 10 people who respond. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have. By running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go, and who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no-obligation, full-blown financial review today.
Welcome back to Spot on the Money. I'm your host, Paul Gebhardt, with my buddy here, Hashemian of Kinetic Financial. And today, we've covered a lot about estate planning. But this is my favorite part. This is where you get to stump the advisor. We call it on the spot. You ready to be on the spot, buddy?
I'm ready, my friend.
All right. This is an interesting one because I love this one. Okay, so what do you think is going to happen to estate taxes?
Oh, man, you did put me on the spot on that one.
How about that? You got the crystal ball in your pocket?
Yeah, let me take it out. No way to know.
Yeah.
There's no way to know.
Yeah.
I do think, though, estate taxes are going to change. Right now, we're at a historically high point in terms of the estate tax exemption, meaning that most people that have less than $20-some million are not going to pay any estate taxes as long as they pass away right now. But I don't think anybody's plan is to pass away now. Right? And so what you got to think about is the future. And nobody knows what's going to happen. I'll tell you, historically, the estate tax exemption has been as low as $1 million. And when it's that low, those people that have $2, $3, $4, $5 million may be paying an exorbitant amount of taxes. Paul, I'll tell you a quick story about this. You know, I had a gentleman that came in and he said, you know what, I got $7 million. I'm not going to pay any estate taxes because of the current estate tax exemption. I said, you know what, you're absolutely correct, but you're not passing away right now. You're going to pass away 10 years from now, 15, maybe 20 years from now.
That's a great point.
And what happens if the estate tax exemption goes back to $1 million? And you pass away, you got $5-7 million in assets.
Yeah.
Only $1 million is going to be exempt.
Exactly.
The rest of it is going to go through estate taxes, historically around 50%. So if I got a $7 million estate, $1 million exempt, $6 million means I'm going to pay $3 million in estate taxes. I'm not paying it. My beneficiaries are paying it, but it's coming out of all of my hard-earned assets.
Exactly right. And all the time you spent to get to where you are.
And by the way, we're not done yet. That's just the estate tax. If it's income taxable or capital gains, because they are talking about removing the step-up in basis for some people.
Really?
If I have to pay income tax or capital gains after I pay estate tax, I might lose another 20-40%. So we're talking about the $6 million now going to $3 million because of estate tax, and then going from $3 million to maybe $1.5 million because of capital gains or income taxes out of a $6 million estate.
Oh my gosh. That's just, I mean, that just depresses me to even think of that. You know, you pay enough in taxes as it is. You know, why would you want everything you worked hard for to just be blown away by the federal government, right?
And I mentioned this in a previous segment. I don't care how much you like or dislike your kids. You probably like them more than Uncle Sam.
True.
Are you okay with your kids getting $1.5 million and Uncle Sam taking the rest of that? I don't think so.
And it's like you said, maybe it's your grandkids. Maybe it's a college alma mater.
Maybe it's your church.
Who knows? Maybe it's helping pets. Whatever it is, there's wonderful causes. Right?
I think there's a lot of better places that it could go to rather than the IRS.
Yeah, I think they've pretty much proven to us they ain't real good at spending our money. Let's be real. Let's be real. Okay, so I got to ask you, you got time for another one?
Sure.
Okay, so this one's an interesting one because this might be a little twisty. So you're on the spot. Ready? What's the difference between an irrevocable and a revocable trust?
By the way, most people don't realize this because a lot of people don't even have a trust, Paul.
Right.
But if they do have a trust, it's most likely a living trust, what we refer to as a revocable trust, which is great in terms of avoiding probate, but does nothing in terms of avoiding estate taxes. So for our wealthier viewers out there, if you're looking to avoid estate tax or take advantage of step-up in basis or some of these other great things that are available, you really need to be looking at irrevocable trust. So if you have a family, living, revocable trust, whatever you call it, that's great to avoid probate, but it's not going to help you avoid estate taxes. And so that's why I tell people, give us a call, and we'll walk through all the irrevocable trusts, all the different types of trusts that are available. There are hundreds of different availabilities.
And so what it really comes down to between the two of those, it really just depends on your individual need right?
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely. It depends on your individual need, what you're trying to do,
Right.
how much wealth you have. All of these things come into play when you're developing an estate plan. And so I tell all of our clients this: no two estate plans are exactly the same.
Yeah. You know, I'm wondering, because interestingly enough, I have heard in the past from attorneys that always do a revocable trust. Always do it. And then it made me think, you know, like, well, there's got to be a purpose to it. Irrevocable, really?
There is, and I will probably agree with those estate planning. Always do revocable trust, because that's probably necessary in your estate plan. But that doesn't mean that you don't need other trusts, irrevocable trusts, sub-trusts, other things. And so an estate plan is not just a living revocable trust. It's all of these other things that come into play.
Okay, fantastic. Good stuff. I'm glad you helped explain some of that for us. Before we go, one last thing I wanted to ask you, because there's a lot of information, and there's a lot of people going different directions. Some of the things are working out for them, and some aren't, right? But again, this is about what we don't know, you know, and things change fast, and your lives are busy. If I'm a person out there, I'm on the fence, and I'm thinking about, well, you know what? I don't know if I need an advisor or not. In my opinion, you need an advisor. When you're asking that question, you need an advisor. But what do you say to someone, Ali, who's a little bit intimidated? You know, they maybe don't know what to expect. What's it like when they reach out to you?
Here's what I would say. Find the right advisor, or at least do your search. You may not even need an advisor, right? But at least you've done your due diligence to see what they're offering. If you talk to a good advisor and they're offering a lot of things that you didn't know, or access to different options that you didn't have access to previously, might be worth it for you to work with that advisor. Covertly, if you're working with an advisor that isn't providing you that information, then you might be missing something, right? So it's all about finding the right fit for you. And again, for our viewers out there, call us at 800-711-4818 and see if we're the right fit. If we're not, no harm, no foul. At least you didn't spend any money or figure it, but you got a second set of eyes on things, right?
Exactly.
And so that's what I tell people is find the right advisor. At least if you do your research, you'll know.
Yeah, it's about a relationship. That's what it comes down to, right?
That's right.
You have a friendship when you need a friend, someone to talk to. You have a spouse. You talk to your parents, your siblings. There's always somewhere along the road in life where you need a little advice. That's what an advisor does on the financial end. Reach out to Ali and his team. Let them be that friend. The number is 800-711-4818. Again, what do you want your tomorrow to look like? Find out today. Give them a call. I want to thank you for being with us today. Take care of yourselves, everybody.